That's right, folks. It's Sunday. It's another Sunday Live Start Sit show starring your favorite Razzball team, breaking down all your start sits for week 8. Jump on right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. We're going to be live for 2 hours up until kickoff, starting right now. Hello, everybody.
Sorry, everyone. I don't hear the intro music. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome to week 8. We are back. Sorry, I was getting my rankings in line here. Very excited to get another Sunday live show in with you. We got a try box this morning. Derek is out on a personal matter, but he's here in spirit. We got Patricio and Daniel already in pregame. Love to see that. We see all the other comments as well, everybody. We're going to get to you here in just a minute. Once again, my name is Sky Guasco, SKYGUASCO. I'm your host for the morning. While I can last, got a bit of a hoarse throat, so I'll see how I can get through this year. We got Maddie Styles up top as well. That's Styles08. And the captain is back. We got Bob LaMarco, BOBBYLAMARCO. Gentlemen, before we get into the allotment of questions for the next 2 hours before kickoff, we want to make sure everybody knows that they can go and find everything at Razzball NFL on Twitter. All of our articles, of course, are for free on the Razzball website. That's football.razzball.com. We also have a podcast available for those of you on the go. I listen to most of my recaps from Razzball on the podcast side versus the YouTube personally. And that is the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show and the podcast as well, anywhere you're listening to your podcast. Bob, we missed you on the Tuesday show here. We had a good time with the old try box, and we had a dub box because Matt had to jump as well. So Derek and I did our best, but we had all of our episodes live and in charge. Before we get into the Sunday Live here, man, I want to check in with you. It's been a couple of days. Just one thing you're looking forward to here today to kind of wrap up the first half of the fantasy season, more or less, right? Where, now we have 17 games, so we kind of lose that 8-game break. But I work the fantasy season in fractions, each quarter, kind of give another review, how my team's doing, how my draft went, where I need to trade. We only have a month until Thanksgiving, which is generally kind of our fantasy trade deadlines, more or less. So I want to make those final moves, man. Great to be back on screen with you. It's been a while for you and me personally, but I just want to check in with you and see maybe if there's one or two specific matchups, games, NFL previews, fantasy matchups, any rookie developments, position battles, whatever you're looking into for the wrap up the first half of the season before we get into week 8 here.
Lot to unpack there. And hi, Sky. Good to see you as always.
Good morning.
Yeah, honestly, well, let's talk fantasy perspective first. Like, I understand there's teams out there right now that are probably like 1-6, 2-5. Like, the season's not done. Like, I think I really want to preface the fact that, like, for a lot of you that are not on, like, have the stud teams right now, you got to win. It's no longer about the second half. It's about this week. So you need to make bold moves. And I love stashing players, and you're going to have these high upside guys, but like, you have to understand something. Like, you need to put out the best lineup this week. So that's why I love the Sunday Live show, because we get perspective. There's going to be guys today, like the Jags-Pittsburgh Steelers game, that could have a big, weather impact. We have the Denver Broncos-Chiefs game. Like, obviously, you're going to start your guys like Kelsey, and you got your guys like Mahomes, and I know you're going to start the guys. I'm not saying you're not. But if you guys got like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy types that have been kind of fringe wide receiver threes, you might need to start saying, all right, I got to go after the guys that I feel more confident, because I need to win this week. So, I think that this is the time of year where, unless you're positioned, like I would love to tell everybody, you're 6-1, stash Devin Achane. You're gonna be great in 4 weeks. Like, but if you're 2-5, you got to trade Achane. You got to go get some win now players. Like, and you can't worry about a month from now. So, like, just, you got to almost like get over yourself, get over your takes, get over the situation. It is what it is. If you have a bad team, it's fine. Your season's not done. So, but other than that, I mean, really, it's just that, kind of looking back, the Giants have been a dumpster fire. Daniel Jones has been a dumpster fire. And so, like, that was one of my, like, first time in, like, me and Sky have been doing this together for like 5 years. I've never been really high on the Giants ever. And this is the first time I was like, let's go, Daniel Jones stack sleepers, and they just blows up in my face. So I know that's a lot, but yeah, I think it's just that it's a weekly game from now on. You have to understand that based on your record. And if you're currently watching this show and you're 2-5, like let's talk. Like it's not just start sits for this week. Talk, bring your trades, and let's talk. And like, hey, you might be able to make a move before the games kick off today. Like, give you a W this week. Let's do it. What about you, Matt?
I'm the same way, right? Probably the best team I've had in years is fucking 2-5. Pardon the French, but I don't. It's every week is something different. It happens, but yes, there is no more. I'm going to hold Jalen Warren, right? I doubled down and said keep this guy. You unless you're starting him, you can't hold Jalen Warren anymore. You have to play guys that are going to win every single week. So if that's a streamer that you think has a better projection for the week, then you drop Jalen Warren and you win this week. I agree with you. Yep. There is no more be the smart guy that held somebody.
Warren had like a 20-yard touchdown last week, and he was like a low end RB2. Like it was like it's just I understand, but unless a Najee Harris player like gets hurt, it's just not gonna. The Steelers off like that's a perfect name. That is like the perfect name for. He's not gonna help you win today. You got to get him. Like it's just not gonna work. Like there's probably streamer guys out there, and the other thing too is waiver wire pickups. Like you no longer can be conservative. Like if there's a guy that pops up and you listen to our show and we're saying go get him, go get him. Put that waiver fab in that your league is maybe the highest bid of the league so far. Like it's a weekly game, and I agree. Like Jalen Warren's probably the best name I've heard, but there's a bunch of guys out there right now that like you gotta just let go. I mean, it's almost handcuffing season. Like I have Darrell Henderson in a league, and I got Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, CMC, and DeAndre Swift. I am never going to play Darrell Henderson. I should be handcuffed. Like, if Kamara goes down, I probably would rather have Jamal Williams, right? Like, that's kind of the thought process now for that league. But my question for the group is I would love to get Zach Charbonnet because I have Kenneth Walker. Would you take Darrell Henderson for him right now if you're the other team? If you have Zach Cabernet,
yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not using Zach, and Zach Charbonnet is like so far a more irrelevant version of Jalen Warren, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Warren's actually playing, getting touchdowns better than Najee Harris right now in fantasy. Zach Charbonnet is like the shiny toy on the shelf that we can't play with yet. It's just like it's not something that we can use. But if you have Kenneth Walker, that could benefit you massively, right? But the other person might have Darrell Henderson. Say they're 3-4. They need a warm body now, and Charbonnet is not that guy. So absolutely, I would make that move. And you guys are both right. I'm just going to echo it and we'll move on. You need to start dropping. So if you have two defenses and you're streaming DSTs, if that's a big strategy for you all season, I would just commit to one or two, right? We don't have any bye weeks this week, so you have everybody finally. But if you want to look ahead and you're in that top upper echelon, look ahead to your bye weeks, jump the waiver wire so you beat the rest of your league mates out there. You don't need to carry two kickers. You don't need to carry more than a high level, backup quarterback or tight end in a single quarterback league. Make sure you're getting depth and getting, starting to look ahead a little bit for that second half of the season. Okay. Feel free, of course, always to jump in the comments. We've got a bunch firing up already. You can reach out to us in the DMs. Of course, we have all of our articles once again available on football.razzball.com. You can blast through those while you are watching us here on the lives, and we will get into it. We want to say good morning to everybody. And Patricio is back off for a week or two, but we got a big one here. And, of course, we need to help with some lineups. Bob, special shout out here. Good morning, gents. Bob, want to get my team with your rankings to 7-1. Patricio, well done, 6-1 so far. But I have a tough matchup. We got full PPR. We need a flex. Ramondre Stevenson, Chris Olave, Nico Collins, Javonte Williams, Rashee Rice, and Jalen Warren. Just talked about Jalen Warren. We talked about Rashee Rice at nauseum last week. So let's get into this here. Bob, I'll let you go first, and Matt will go to you. Full PPR. Need a flex player. And if these are your flex players, Patricio, you're doing quite well, reflective of that 6-1 team.
Yeah, I that's the thing I was thinking about too. I'm like, I have Javonte Williams as one of my starts of the week. for the running back position, but I'm going to go Nico Collins here. I think Nico, that Carolina secondary is extremely banged up, and they have just hemorrhaged points over the last month. And I think that Nico is the highest yards after the catch per reception this season. He is an absolute stud. I love CJ Stroud and company in that game too. That's the battle of the first round pick quarterbacks. And I think that both teams want their quarterback to look very good this week, even Carolina. So I'm going to go Nico Collins in this one.
I am going Ramondre for the fact that they're going to be trailing in that football game. I'm staying away from Olave. Interesting news: the flu bug is going around the Saints locker room. So keep an eye on that moving forward. And I have Nico as a very close number. It's probably 1B to Ramondre. So those would be the two that I'd be focused on. I like Javonte, but I think I need to see one more game from him before I pencil him in. And in fact, I'm not starting him. I'm starting Ramondre over him this week in my home league.
Yeah, per usual, we will have a full injury report, but it is that time of year, folks, so illness will also be a part of the injury report. And Michael Thomas right now is questionable, and he's not really affecting many rosters, but him being gone would boost Chris Olave there. So I'm going to have kind of a cop-out answer to start here. We'll give you, at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock Pacific time, we'll get you a full injury report. But if Michael Thomas is out, then I would go Chris Olave. And otherwise, I would lean Ramondre as well. Got a couple more here. Bob, we're going to jump right to you as well. We got a quicker question right off the bat. Love to hear it. Dicker the kicker. Patterson or Groupie. Kind of want to start Dicker.
Yeah, my guy's Blake Grupe this week. Love it's an indoor game, which is always nice. But the Indianapolis Colts, last week I talked about Hopkins, and he went off, and it's Blake Grupe this week. New Orleans has really struggled in the red zone, and so that's really helped Blake Grupe. And the Indianapolis Colts defense has actually played a little better recently, and that's led to a lot more red zone field goal attempts versus touchdowns. So I'm going to go Blake Grupe. He's my number one kicker on the week, and that's why I'm going him.
Love that.
Bob, remind me, who asked you earlier this week who your number one kicker of the week was?
I don't recall. Do you want to refresh my memory?
Yeah, I did, and I picked up
This
Grupe.
guy.
So,
Dude,
last week I took the advice. We started Hopkins, and Sky. At one point, Hopkins was 10 points clear of this number 2 kicker on the week. Is that right?
Absolutely was. I believe he had 21 points, and I think it was Younghoe Koo. I can't remember correctly right now, but the next kicker had 10. So great call, Bob, and you've been sticking kickers all season long.
I am I'm doing horrible, by the way, in the fantasy accuracy stuff. But kicker, I was 5, and then everything else, I was outside the top 100. So the one thing you listened to me about is kickers, and I have proof that I'm very good at that. That's what I'll say.
I love that. All right, Patricia's got another one here before we move on to Daniel and everyone else here. We got another league as well, needing a flex. Ramondre, Lamb, Jalen Warren, Tank Dell, and Drake London. Bob?
I'm gonna probably still stick with Lamb here. I like Tank Dell as well. But I guess the Ramondre thing is interesting. I don't have him that highly ranked this week, but I guess that pass catching catch-up mode against Miami makes some sense here. But I'm going to still go CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. I kind of have a weird feeling. I like that Rams-Cowboys game. I think that might be a fun one. So I'm going to go CD.
Yeah, I'm CD. This is his 2023 game. He puts it up today.
Nice. I agree. I think it's going to be a little bit of a squeaky wheel as well for CeeDee Lamb. Just to echo Bob's sentiments really quickly to give him his flowers, as the kids say these days. Let me just make sure this is correct. 1 second, folks. 212 Fantasy Pros rankers. That's people all over the industry who are putting in their rankings for everyone to reach into each week for ECR through Fantasy Pros. Bob is number 11 out of 212. Number 11 in the top 12 in kicker rankings specifically. So, Bob, way to absolutely smash that position,
I want to go on record. The first 2 weeks don't even count. I was not even like doing any. I didn't have anything to put in there. So I got to admit, like the last month, I've been honing in here. I'm excited. I'm excited for some Blake Griffin this week. Let's get some 15 points. Nothing's better than getting 22 points from a Dustin Hopkins pick. It's literally I won a league because I had him, and it just makes me giggle inside. So I love every second of it.
Look, man, everyone, throws shade at kickers and streaming tight ends and DSTs until you play in leagues with them, and then they make a difference. It really does matter, and well done. Daniel's in here.
Sorry to cut you off, but I got to go back to the origin story about this. Okay, there's a reason why. I'm not just making this up. There was a week, it was last year, where I got -5 points from my kicker and defense, and I lost the fantasy game by 3. And I sat there and said to myself, it is so hypocritical that I am not going to bother trying to figure out how to avoid these terrible games. I had 1 point from a kicker, and I got minus like 5 or 6 from my defense. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, so if your league starts defenses and kickers, and by the way, I like position diversity. I like that. So if your league has it, it's good to care because you can get low hang. Like the Hopkins thing is nice. It was an awesome call, but I got 22 points from a kicker by just figuring out something on the back end that makes sense for kickers. So like if I know that I can just avoid that 3 points from a kicker and I got 22 this week, it helps you win fantasy leagues. So like trust me, take it from someone that like when I started getting 1 point from a kicker, 0 points from a kicker, and you get like if you just starting kickers and getting 3 points, and then the guy has 9 or 10, you're minus 6, 7 points going into the week. People don't think about it that way. So that's why it's good to just follow us. We got great kicker advice, and I'm sure one of us will pop in for some DSTs as well.
I love that. Well, they're coming up here shortly. Stafford versus the Cowboys. Love versus Carolina. Or we got Carr versus the Colts as well. Bob, we'll go to you here with a quarterback decision for Daniel.
Yeah, man, this is tough because I'm kind of floating back between Stafford and Carr myself. I'm actually avoiding Love. I'm not excited about that Packers game in Green Bay versus Minnesota. So I'm actually gonna go, man. I'm gonna go Derek Carr slightly ahead of Stafford, because Indianapolis is dealing with some injuries in the secondary. They have a pretty low 6 score, so I'm gonna go slightly Derek Carr.
Matthew Stafford, not even close for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Stafford as well. He hasn't been lining up, but it's really just because they get tackled inside the 5-yard line, and then somebody rushes it in. This should be a shootout probably with the Cowboys, and I expect a number of touchdowns. So I think it's a big bounce back for Cooper Kupp. 2 for 29 last week somehow. And
2 drops.
Two
drops.
And, obviously Puka didn't miss a step. So I think the Rams have a big game this week. Might be on upset alert in Dallas. Just want to throw that out there. But I'm going to go Matt Stafford here as well. Let's go down here to a PPR. We got to sit one, guys. We got to sit one. Nico Collins versus Carolina, Pickens versus Jacksonville, or Olave versus Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the weather updates for the Pittsburgh game. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that. So I'm just looking at it because I think that's going to be important here. It looks like it's raining now in Pittsburgh. Is that game's at 1:00, right? I want to just make sure because the reason why I'm just trying to make sure because it's a 1:00. It's a 1:00 game today. All right, so that because that Pickens matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars is so good.
80% chance of rain.
Yeah, but I think, it's, I'm gonna go Nico. I'm gonna sit Pickens.
Game's at 10:00, by the way.
Our time.
10:00 our time, yeah. So 1:00 Eastern. Okay, Matt.
I'm sitting Olave. But don't love
I'm going to sit. Oh, man. Yeah, this is rough. I'm going to sit Pickens, actually. I think Stroud bounces back. It's been a couple of weeks since, those guys are on bye and whatever. And they come back and play well. And I do think it's a big game for Olave. He's been very close to some huge games and hasn't been able to connect. So I do think that he hits his stride today. Jets fan, It's cold up here in Winnipeg. Shouts out over the border, my man. Good morning. Or person.
Good morning, eh?
Hey. 1 point PPR league. So full PPR league. We got to pick two here. Brees Hall, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Swift. Nice allotment there. Pick a two, gents. Hall, Ayuk, Wilson, Swift.
For me, it's Hall and Ayuk with Swift very close to Hall, but I like Hall's matchup better.
Yeah. The Giants defense has actually played very well recently. That game could be sloppy though. Yeah, Hall and Ayuk is good. I like that.
I agree, Hall and Ayuk. I want to start DeAndre Swift, but Washington's been much better against the run as well. This game's in Washington, so I will go with Brees Hall and Ayuk as well. I think is that a 3-bar?
Yeah.
For us?
3-bar.
All right.
I would say threesome, but we would get banned.
True.
So don't say it again because you just said it. Okay. Great.
No, I didn't. I said it as in if I wanted to say it, that's what I would say, but I'm not saying it. I'm just letting you know that it's a possible usage that we're going to pass on. We will not call ourselves a threesome.
Right. We're more like a three-peat or a dynasty of individuals, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Perfect.
Great. Awesome.
All right.
That took a left turn.
It's not even a left turn. We're just going. This is a circle. We're just keep going, circling the drain.
It's one of those. It's one of those like two. You know those like double roundabouts. Roundabouts are one thing, but the double roundabout. You know, you think you're done, and there's another one. I think that's what we just had there. All right, we got Geno Smith, Minshew, Bryce Young. What two would you start? Superflex League: Geno Smith, Minshew, and Bryce Young.
I think I'm going to go Minshew. I think he's just been something about his game promotes fantasy success. Like he turns it over, causes some ruckus on his other end. They score points, and then he has to score points. It's been fun, so I'm gonna go Minshew.
And
start two, Bob.
You need two. Sorry. Geno's got Cleveland at home. Bryce Young's got Houston. Yikes. Yeah, I'm going to go. I don't actually have a good answer here for the second one. Just give me 1 second. Someone else can jump in.
Cleveland gave up a lot of points, right? They're going into Seattle. Late game. They're the best defense of the three that these quarterbacks are going up against. But I still think I give Geno a shot to play from behind and chuck the ball. I don't love Bryce Young yet, so.
Yeah, I'll go Young. The matchup, the Cleveland thing is just weird. Like they got, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not concerned. And Geno looked that second half last week. He just didn't look right. Like I don't know what's going on with him. He looked good in the first half, and then they just stopped doing anything. It's Arizona. It doesn't than Arizona. So for him to completely get shut out in the second half, it's like. Yeah, I don't really trust him against Cleveland. I know Tyler Lockett's a little banged up right now, too. His line's a little shaky right now because of the injuries. So I'm gonna go with Young. Just take the safer bet.
I'm gonna go Minshew and Smith. I don't love Geno either. But last week against these Browns, Gardner Minshew went for 4 touchdowns, 305 yards on just 23 attempts. A lot of points in that game, 39-38. QB3 on the week for Minshew last week. I don't love Geno Smith either, but looks like DK Metcalf is in and back this week. I think that helps at full strength. So I'm going to go Geno Smith at home in Seattle. I just don't trust Bryce Young yet either. I think this is a good like NFL ratings game for the two rookies and top picks and all that. But for fantasy, I'm going to stick with Geno. I think if we can get 250 and 2 in a clean game, I think that's going to be better than Bryce Young ultimately. All right. Oops. Missed my spot there. All right. We got a special one coming in here. This is William Jones checking in. Matt, I'm sorry. Who is this?
It's William Jones. Well, we could go
Yeah.
Bill Jones. Bill Jones, maybe. Bill.
Uh, well, I mean, he's sets himself up as William Jones. So with a lot of these, until we hear otherwise, I want to make sure that we respect that. If he comes through and goes, "Hey, my friends used to call me Bill growing up," then bam, we go Bill Jones easy, right? But let's stick with William for now. We need a running back and a flex. This is full PPR. Aaron Jones, Mixon, Henderson, Lockett, and Rice. And a bunch of super fun emojis. Folks, we love emojis. Let's not get crazy. Let's keep it PC. But an emoji or two mixes up the vibe. We appreciate that. Bob, we'll go to you here.
How is Aaron Jones' health right now? I don't really have.
Oof.
He's
He has no injury designation. By the way, thanks for asking me specifically, Bob, which you didn't, but I'll make sure to avoid you on the Darren Waller talk later.
appreciate that.
No injury designation, but I will tell you this: I'm not starting him, and right now it has to do with exactly what Derek said to me on text. He may be without injury, but he's still with Matt LaFleur, and I don't understand what LaFleur's doing. If the guy's healthy, you play him and you give him the rock. You spell him with AJ Dillon. So right now, I think Joe Mixon and Darrell Henderson will both have more touches in the run game, especially than Aaron Jones will this week. It shouldn't be that way, and I hope it's not that way. But my gut says it's going to be that way.
Yeah,
and it's a hamstring, right? It's so.
Yeah, Mixon and Henderson are fine. I think the other thing with Rice though against Denver, like the weather updates are going to have to be key because if I mean it's a blizzard right now there in Denver.
No,
so
yeah, you don't. This. I mean, they're all Kelsey games, but this is a run 5 yards and sit down in the open spot game, and running right like so.
But yeah, I hear you. Rice is like a good yards after the catch guy, though. So, like, he's probably the type of player would be better off. But yes,
yeah. But
let's just keep it simple. No. I'm not disagreeing with you. This is me agreeing with you. Mixon and Henderson. I'm good. I know. I agree with you. I agree. The weather. Why fuck with it? Why even mess? Excuse my French, by the way. Why even mess with that kind of weather? I agree.
Okay. Well, since you disagreed with me, I'm kidding. All I was gonna say is, and again, we'll get an updated weather chat and injury report at the top of the hour. So stick around for that. Give us all your weather and injury questions as we get through them here. I just want to mention
Mahomes just went on the injury report. Illness.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's that time of year, man. Things are weird. Mahomes is going to play, but my concern is when it's a little windy, a little rainy, a little snowy, it doesn't really affect NFL games. It just doesn't. Wind affects mostly, right? But rain, they get through. Snow, they get through because it's dry, whatever. But the type of snow that we might see in Denver, honestly, if anybody here is watching, right, boots on the ground in Denver, Colorado in general, whatever, we're looking at reports online. We're not in Colorado, not in Denver, certainly. If you're there and you can give us a boots on the ground, like, actually, it's sunny and beautiful, but it snowed last night. That's a lot different than it's dumping right now pre-kickoff. But if we're getting, that 6 to 14 inches originally, even if he's yards after the catch, it's hard to slug through all that. So I don't love it. I'm going to stick with the running backs here. Aaron Jones is one of my favorite players in the NFL aside from fantasy. I just love watching him play. Unfortunately, he's in my trade away article this week. And I'm concerned about that. And AJ Dillon is just getting more work, which is concerning for Aaron Jones. So I'm going to stick with Mixon and Henderson here as well. Appreciate you, William. Daniel's back. We got Ferguson or Jonnu, half PPR. Clearly, we are streaming tight ends here, but we got Ferguson versus the Rams or Jonnu versus his old team in a revenge game versus the Titans. Bob?
The Titans have. I do think that this is kind of one of those games. I know revenge games you're not a big fan of, but the other thing too is that they're missing some guys up the middle. The Titans are missing their slot corner. They're also missing. They just traded Bird, their best defensive back, and so that could be impactful in this game. And I do think Jonnu and Arthur Smith, on top of that, both former Titans guys, he's going to keep him involved, and I think that makes sense to me. So I'm going to go with Jonnu.
Arthur Smith's a moron.
Oh, he's awesome, man.
I prefer to start Jonnu. I like Jonnu, the player, better than Ferguson, and I don't like the fact that there's 3 tight ends that the Mike McCarthy offense feels a need to rotate. I think Ferguson will get his, but this week I've kind of been pushing Jonnu, so I look like I'd be going back on my word if I change it. So give me Jonnu this week.
Okay, I'm going to flip the script. Looks like 2-1 Jonnu. So Daniel, you can kind of make that final decision. I'm going to go Ferguson and feel pretty good about it. The revenge game thing, I still play matchups, right? If it's a good matchup and it happens to be a revenge game, obviously do that. I just don't get into because it's a revenge game, you go nuts on that kind of stuff. I think it's all TV narrative stuff. But the Rams are just a great matchup, straight up, for Ferguson. They've given up the highest yards per reception, and they have the 6th most receiving yards given up and the 5th most fantasy points to tight ends overall. I think it's a lot of CeeDee Lamb today, squeaky wheel, but I think it's also going to be Jake Ferguson. And again, this should be kind of a boat race, if you will, for Dallas and Los Angeles. So I'm going to go with Ferguson in that one there. Jamie, what up? Good morning, bud. We got Downs, Pickens, Deontay. Start 1. Let's go half PPR, gentlemen. Bob?
Josh Downs for me. Love him this week. Gets that Saints slot defense. I'm going to go Josh Downs. It's PPR, or we don't know?
We're going to go half. I can't remember, but let's go half.
Yeah, Downs.
Downs for me, and the other 2 are going to have good games too, but I am not sitting Josh. Everywhere I can place Josh Downs in a lineup, that I'm doing it. DFS, Josh Downs is going to be a cheat code at his price. So Downs for me, Downs. All the Downs. Every Downs you have. Get Downs with it.
Maybe are you Downs?
By the way, do you remember the title of my article? Are you Downs with IND?
Get it? Indianapolis?
Yeah, you know me.
You down with IND? Yeah, you know me. You down with IND? Yeah, you know me.
Bob, why are we not raising the roof? Why does Bob
sorry.
refuse to raise the roof?
I haven't raised the roof in years, man, okay? You know about my backstory. I raised the roof one time on a Sunday, and it never been the same. Huge tragedy.
All right. Man, I love Josh Downs, and I'm not going to vote against him, but I actually really, really, really also like the matchup for George Pickens. So we've already gone Downs, so Downs is going to be the group answer, but George Pickens remained the number 1 with Deontay back last week. 8 targets, 5 catches, 107 yards. Only 2 touchdowns on the year, but he's been that number 1 there, and I think that he's really carving out the number 1. So I'm going to stick with him. But Josh Downs, I think, is a great pick as well. Downs with the sickness? Okay. Richard, Aaron Jones, Alexander Madison. We just talked about Jones quite a bit, but how about Madison, Bob?
He's losing work to Cam Akers. Last week he had 2 less carries.
And Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, he got 1 touch. It was like a set play. But
he's in though. He's in the game. He's getting snaps. Sorry to cut you off. I have Madison everywhere, but he's taking him off the field too.
Akers is clearly Kevin O'Connell clearly went out and got a guy who he's familiar with from the Rams, and he wants to get Madison is okay. He hasn't been great, but they have the 3rd best run game matchup in my metric. I want to say Jones, but it just does. It seems something's off with him. Even his 6 score, they still have him as a yellow. He's 81, which should be good. I guess the question for you, Matt, is this is a game. Do you feel that the Packers' run D is going to do enough to stop that duo? And do you think Aaron Jones is going to play enough to be better than Madison?
I am. If I have to start 2 out of Jones, Madison, and Akers, I'm starting Jones and Akers.
Yikes. Matt LaFleur on Tuesday's presser. Matt LaFleur said, "We're going to be smart with him," being Aaron Jones. "I don't think he's 100% by any stretch."
And Matt LaFleur, you're not 100% either. You're currently in the Arthur Smith tree of head coaching, which came down from the Mike McCarthy tree of head coaching. You all three should go have a drink, sit down, and giggle like little schoolgirls about how shitty your coaching is. Look at the talent on those three football teams. Jeez,
can we let's just say
I haven't had breakfast.
This is my honest. Screw it. I'm just gonna go Aaron Jones. Honestly, who cares? My thought process is that Aaron Jones there's a likelihood that Aaron Jones can blow up. Like
Absolutely.
there is. Madison right now has just been kind of meh. This is going to be a road game in Green Bay. You know, I think Kirk Cousins played extremely well last week. I think this is the letdown game where he's on the road, outdoors, in the weather conditions. That game's probably going to be sloppier than we expect. And then obviously Cam Akers is coming on a lot stronger than we thought. So I'm just going to take the upside with Jones. I don't love either personally, but I will take Jones.
Yeah, I agree. In this particular matchup, I'm gonna go Jones as well. And I have Alexander Madison everywhere, and I'm trying to offload him as soon as possible because the tide is turning quickly. Bob, quick question. How many Jets chants will we hear from you today?
Just as many as Aaron Rodgers passes we're going to see today. All right? 0. Okay? All right, burn. It's going to be just G-Men winning 7-6. I can't wait.
Wow.
7-6, a barn burner. I like to see that.
It's going to be super, super exciting stuff today.
Just Bob felt like the chef with the salt. Right there.
Salt Bay.
Matt, gotta bend that elbow a little more.
Yeah, you gotta go all the way back there to the Swan.
Yeah,
nice.
That's 7-6 victory for the Giants. Get it.
So quick question, Bob. Quick question. So is this 7-6, 2 field goals from the Jets? They can't even score on you, or is this a score late, go for 2 in double overtime to win the game? They miss it, and you guys escape with a W.
No, it's not what you think, Sky. Right. So this is how it works. Tyrod Taylor just patiently waiting all game, right? Jets are up 6-0. Tyrod standing in the pocket, can't get anything really. All of a sudden, Jalen Hyatt breaks loose for a 40-yard gain down the sideline.
Wide open. Yeah.
A couple seconds left. They're not trying to figure things out. Saquon Barkley breaks loose for a touchdown with 5 seconds left in the game. Oh, my God. Graham Gano comes on, all casual, little drizzle of the rain, kicks it dead center for a 7-6 barn burner, folks.
Man, but Graham Gano not in your top 5 because that's going to be 1 fantasy point on the day, but I love the narrative. Absolutely. Jets fan, good luck today. All right. Howdy. It's Waterboy.
That's one of my guys.
Love it. I love like the regular poster. Like, man, I'm in there all the time, bro.
Every week for 2 years, he's been in my article. Every week.
Attaboy, Waterboy. Thanks so much for the support, everybody. We appreciate it. And we do start. How about Beans as well? I want to give a shout out to Beans, who's in all of our articles too, coming through also.
You mean
everybody that participates?
You mean Beans?
X.
Yes. Yeah, we have 3. All right, full PPR. We got Laporta. Trade question. Sorry, boys. We got a trade question here. So, full PPR. Do we trade Laporta to get Andrews? That deal was sent to me. I own both Laporta and Logan Thomas. He also sent Logan Thomas plus Chuba Hubbard for Goddard. I'm 7-0. Well, because of Matt's articles, which we appreciate. So, all right, a lot to break down here. Let's take it one step at a time.
You want me to blow you away? I have it. All right.
Go.
So this is stealthy, sneaky, super adept fantasy football trade shit you're about to hear. Right before the start of the 1:00 games, you accept Laporta for Andrews. You play Laporta on Monday night. He has his bye week next week. You get Andrews. Right?
Got him.
And I'm good with Andrews rest of season. I'm good with Laporta rest of season. However, you don't miss the bye week. Then you also accept the other deal, and you have Goddard, who can play in your flex as you're starting Andrews at your tight end. It's that easy.
What's up with all the tight end stuff? Like if you look at the trade, he says in this here, he says Laporta to get Andrews, but then he also has Goddard. So he has
No,
Goddard
he
and
has Logan
Andrews?
Thomas. No, he's got Logan Thomas and Laporta. He's
No,
gonna
but it says for his Goddard. So like he also sent Logan Thomas and Chuba for his Goddard.
No, the
Does
other
he
dude.
mean
the other dude sent that. So the other owner sent 2 trade offers. Basically, if
yeah,
it was one trade, it would be Laporta, Logan Thomas, and Chuba Hubbard for Goddard and Andrews.
exactly. Right. So the guy on the other team has Goddard and Andrews.
And
Right?
he's obviously not listening to our show or reading our articles. You should never trade either one
But
in this year of the tight end. Chuba's not going to be the guy. Miles Sanders is back this week. They're going to start splitting time, so Chuba's going to lose value. And Logan Thomas has been good, but he's also had a 1 for 2 in the last 3 weeks. And Sam Howell, by the way, has started to become Sam Halloween, and he'll disappear after the 30th. So, what are we doing here?
I think it's
Nobody
for
like
me.
that?
It's
He'll be
no,
ghosting. I was giving Bob some space.
Okay. So I think this one's easier for me. It's Logan Thomas and Chuba. If I'm going to get Goddard in that deal, like if I have running back depth, I'd rather have that. I'd rather keep the Laporta Andrews thing. Might be a week to week trade where 1 week it's Laporta's the better play. I have more confidence that Goddard's going to be the better play each week than Logan Thomas in that deal. So I would just keep Laporta and then get Goddard.
And I could do that
a bye
too.
week issue.
If you're going to take one of the 2 deals, it's the second deal. You could improve your team by taking both deals.
Well, it's the bye weeks because that's going to be key here.
Laporta is 9. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
I've been trying to trade for him everywhere.
Lions and Niners next week.
Eagles.
So you won't even watch football.
Eagles are
Oscar.
week
You watch
10.
The Chargers.
No.
And
I don't
Ravens
watch football
are
week
13.
9.
So they all have different bye weeks, right? So the Eagles are 10, Ravens are 13. So there's no bye week issue. So you just want the 2 best players. I guess the 2 best players in theory would be Andrews and Goddard. But I think Laporta, at this point, I guess in my opinion, is just like why that trade seems a little more 1 for 1. Like it might be better for some weeks. And especially because Odell's a little healthier now. Flowers is going to be in the second half of his rookie season. Rashad Bateman's getting healthy. So maybe there's more target competition for the Ravens. Meanwhile, the Lions are they have Amon-Ra. Jameson Williams is a very high ADOT boom play. And then Reynolds has kind of taken a step back over the last few weeks. So, I think the easiest play here is just get that Goddard trade. And then honestly, I would trade one of them and go get a stud. Go trade another running back and Goddard to go get a stud after the Laporta bye week in week 9. After that's done, go trade Goddard, who's on a bye week in 10, which will be tough, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you trade Goddard this week when he has week 9. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. That's a good trade. Trade Andrews for Andrews. Get him. Trade for Goddard. Get him. And then trade one of those 2. I would trade one of those 2 guys with a running back to get a stud. That's what I would do.
You feel good about that? I think you guys talked it through.
Yeah, I gave my answer early. Bob had a little bit of a conniption right in the middle. I lost him, but he's back. If he would have just raised the roof and gotten all that nervous energy out, we'd be fine.
I agree.
Look at you. Hey, look at me in Sky, right? Just loosey goosey.
I'm loosey goosey. I was literally just gonna say I feel loosey goosey. So
well, that's the term. I mean, that's what I think the kids are using that these days. They brought it back.
Fun fact. Check it out. So my last name is Guasco. If you're from my family or Italian or you've met me, it's not hard to pronounce. It's fine. Also, if you look at it, Guasco, I think I'd probably be able to figure that out. It's impossible for people to sound out. It just doesn't happen. As a kid growing up, substitute teachers, Little League, Pop Warner football coaches, nobody could pronounce my name for some reason. So my football coach started calling me Goose when I was 8, right? Just because he couldn't figure it out. So my nickname, for no reason other than he was illiterate probably, everyone started calling me Goose. So not sure Loosey Goosey is a good nickname in that instance, but just wanted to throw out the shouts out to Goose there. And we also had the swan neck. So shouts out to our avian friends. All right. William Jones is back. Matt, is this?
Who?
It's William Jones. We need a DST here. We got Vikings, Texans, and the Pitt Panthers. Get it? Because you said Pitt.
Yeah. Yeah, the jokes have been flat today. Nobody's laughing at anybody else's
Well,
stuff today.
Derek's not here to keep the pizzazz up, so we're trying to elevate that spirit.
So that's the first time in 30 years I've heard Derek and pizzazz together. Derek's the straight man for all of this, right? He's the guy hitting the cymbals, the hi-hat.
Love it. Bob, what you got?
So the Vikings are at Green Bay, Bob, right?
I'm gonna go
Texans
Houston.
get Carolina.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Houston.
I think that's who I'm taking too. Who does Pittsburgh have?
Jacksonville.
Pittsburgh's at home versus Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans as well. That's 2 for the Texans.
I am also taking the Houston Texans, but man, I don't know how they do it, but the Pittsburgh Steelers show up every single week, and they could get a big win in that one as well. So we all like the Texans, William. DG Wavy, Henderson, Gus, Foreman, Standard League, pick 2, non-PPR, Henderson, Gus Bus, Foreman, 2 running backs.
So the Ravens are the number 1 in my metric this week, so I have to go Gus against Arizona. He'll finish with 14 carries for 80 yards and no touchdowns, no receptions. He will be the wrong call, but it is what it is. Foreman is coming off a monster week. We talked a little bit about the matchups, how the Chargers' run defense is improving though, and the Rams.
And Roschon is off the injury
back.
report.
Yeah, comes back.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Foreman, and I'm gonna go Gus.
I'm gonna go Gus, and I'm gonna go Henderson because Roschon's back.
Smith is out.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go down. I don't think anybody knows, to be honest with you. In my rankings right now, I have Foreman and Edwards literally back to back, both on the road. So my thing is, and look, the Chargers should have straight up won every game they've been in, literally. But
here we go.
They don't get it done. They're at home. They're much better than the Bears, but it never matters. My thing is, what I'm trying to talk myself into is if the Chargers actually play quality football and they're up like 17-3 or something, do they carry it back, or can the Bears hang out so that it's actually a run game for the Bears? Because otherwise, they're going to be having to throw it, and Tyson Bagent, I just don't think is going to be able to rock it. But I don't know that I can trust Henderson necessarily with everything going on in LA. So reluctantly, especially in standard leagues, I'm going to go with Gus and Foreman. Last week, folks, Gus Edwards accidentally had an 80-yard reception and didn't score, which is impressive in itself. Wavy is also back here with a DST question. We got the Falcons or the Chargers?
Falcons for me.
Falcons for me. That you know better. You know.
Yeah,
better.
versus Tennessee. So Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill is out. They've already said they're gonna play Will Levis and Malik Willis. I'm not sure what they're thinking there. Maybe it's like an RG3 Lamar Jackson situation a couple years ago. Yeah, don't start the Chargers versus the Bears, huh? Well, how about this? You guys already went 2 for none, right? So I could say Chargers, and they still won't do it because I'm outvoted. So Chargers.
Oh,
I like the Falcons a lot, though. They're just on the road. I like home games, home teams, but defense travels. I get it, but I like home teams with the DST. All right, Wavy's got Addison, Chase, Olave, and Wilson. Standard league, pick 3.
Well, I think Chase is the lock, so I think we're good there. Then it's Garrett Wilson against the Giants, Olave, Addison. Man, I like Olave. I think I'm good with him this week. With the injuries to the Colts secondary playing in that dome game, I think I'm fine there. The question, Wilson Addison's interesting because the Jair and the Packers secondary is solid. I just feel like it's kind of a weird letdown game for that passing game. But then the Giants secondary has been really good the last few weeks. Giants defense has been very good the last few weeks. I am going to go Wilson, Chase, Olave.
And I'm going to go Addison, Chase, Olave. More of that has to do with Zach Wilson versus Kirk Cousins for me.
Yeah, it probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I'm the tiebreaker here. I agree. Addison went for 123 yards and 2 tutties. Should have had 3 against my Niners last week. Chase and Olave are locks. I'm going to lean Addison as well. I'll make the tiebreaker there. I'm going to go Addison too. Looks like we have Beach back in the chat. Good morning, good friend. Good morning, everyone. Looking for a PPR here. We got JMO, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Najee Harris. We got to choose one for flex. One here. We got Jameson Williams, JSN, Najee Harris.
While Bob's looking at numbers, can I say, Jefferson just sent me a text. Have we had a rougher start to the show with difficult questions?
No.
On the season?
These are all really good. Well,
Yeah,
we have no bye weeks, man.
Yep.
Like this is full go. And Bob and I, kicked off the show with we're 7 weeks in, but we're at the 8-week mark, which is basically halfway through the season. Like, there's a lot of teams who are sitting pretty or in the dumpster or in between. Like, this is a big week for a lot of reasons here. Not to mention it's Halloween weekend, which is spooky in general.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared if I went trick-or-treating, somebody would give me raisins or a toothbrush or pennies or Necco wafers.
I think Najee Harris this week is like a penny. That's how I feel about it. That's a good analogy for how I feel about Najee Harris against that Jacksonville run defense. But maybe he catches a couple passes. I don't know. But it's not. And this is what? This is full PPR too? Detroit is got the Raiders.
JSN for me.
JSN. I don't know. I don't like any of it. JSN is home, but he's home against that Cleveland backfield, defensive backfield that just got lit up last week. So they're going to tighten the screws. Najee, I like that, right? You're right. He's the penny. Jameson Williams is certainly not the full-size candy bar that you're hoping for in your trick-or-treat bag, but he's the one guy that can go 1 for 80 and a touchdown and give you double-digit points. But I don't know. Goff is at home, right? And we're about to talk to somebody about road golf. Don't get it twisted. Right now, I don't like any one of these 3 players. I think the best player of the 3 is JSN, but I don't like his matchup at all.
Yeah, last week our boy Josh Downs went 5 receptions on 6 targets, 125 and a touchdown, easily his career high so far in yards. He had 24 PPR fantasy points, and he went wide receiver 4 in the slot versus this secondary here for the Browns. So for me, it's JSN. DK's coming back, maybe not still 100%, and Lockett now is on the injury report this week. He should play, but he's not 100% either. I want to double check. He's on track to play, but he's got a hamstring issue as well. They might limit him. JSN starting to improve. They're at home. I'm going to go with JSN.
I'm doing the same. That's the player. I don't like any one of the 3, really. I don't love any of them, but I'll go JSN.
I'm going Williams.
Right. Now, I think Williams is for me, Jameson Williams is he's a Mounds bar. Nobody likes a full Mounds bar. I don't want a full Mounds bar, but if I'm in the mode, I can have a bite, and I enjoy that bite. You might enjoy the pass, but you're not going to enjoy consistency. I can't have that in my bag.
No coconut candy for me.
I totally agree. All right. I'm going to preface this next question coming up. I know the watchers can't see it already, but the next question, gentlemen, is coming up here. I think we're going to have to give Matt just a second. We'll let these two square off, and maybe I'll refill my coffee as we do that here. So, Matt, go ahead and prepare yourself. Before that, though, Cody Davis is up, and I want to give everyone a heads up. We're going to have about 2 or 3 more questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bob for a few minutes and give you a full injury report and wrap up, and we're going to check in on some weather with you as well. So any last-minute injury questions or weather concerns, please drop them in the chat now so we can get to them, and we're going to turn over to Bob for about 10 minutes here in a few, and Matt and I will step away while he gives that breakdown. Before we do that, though, Cody Davis is in. We got to pick one to bench. We're looking at bench here, full PPR. We got Jacobs, Jacobs, love that. Jordan Addison, Nico Collins, and Christian Watson. So we got to drop one here to the bench. I'm sorry, not drop, but we're going to move to the bench. PPR here. Bob, go ahead.
Full PPR. I'm going to say Christian Watson.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I am too. You guys know I want to fade Josh Jacobs. He's a bad runner, and he's not going to get it on the ground versus the Lions. But what he is going to do is lead the NFL in running back targets. He's terribly inefficient, but he's going to get that work. So I got to keep him in. Jordan Addison, Nico Collins are automatic for me today. So I'm going to sit Christian Watson as well. Bob, I'm going to give you a minute to go ahead and prep yourself. Before we do that, Matt, we'll go ahead and turn this over. Let me make sure we don't have any actual questions before I let you go. 1 second.
You guys are sticking around for this. You're not leaving.
Matt, here's what I'm gonna do. I want to make sure we have some order in the court here. There is an actual question out of respect for a long time. This is not between Bob and I. This is nothing to do with Bob and I. So Bob and I are going to stay on time here. I'm going to turn this over to Bob first. Bob, we have a kicker question for you. I want to jump into this first, and then Matt, I'm going to have you go ahead.
Well, who's the question from?
This is from official Savage. Bob, I'm going to let you go first here. We have a brain twister, which I think is different than a brain teaser. We have Butker, usually a set it and forget it, but with the weather concerns, we're concerned. It looks like Groupie is your number one kicker this week. What say you?
It's locked in for me. I'd go Groupie all day. I'm not a locked in kicker guy. So
sounds like
even Justin Tucker
you literally just said locked.
Well, I literally didn't have him last week, so that doesn't make sense, Guy. I'm talking week to week. Yes, this week I'm locked in on Groupie. I love the matchup. I think it's a safer indoors. I'm not messing with that snow and dealing with all that process with the Chiefs. Because the bigger thing for kickers, too, is when they're on the 40, they're not going to kick a 57-yard field goal in that weather. So you're losing that element. Meanwhile, when you're in a dome game, you'll have more opportunities there, too. So I'm going to go Groupie there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good call as well. Matt, did you have anything to share with official Savage before we turn over to Bob?
So very rarely will we get after one of our followers, right? I feel like I've been waiting for some type of apology or confirmation that what I said last week was not only accurate and timely and valid, but I feel like maybe Savage came at me a little cross, a little tough, right? A little tested my mettle. And what did I tell you?
A little savage, if you will.
Possibly. Well, and I would say at this point, certainly little savage.
Heyo.
But I told our guy Savage it was road golf. It was going to happen. He said, his response was, we live in the now, after I told him it's the first time that the Lions fans have had anything to cheer about. So what I would like to say is the Lions will win this week. I'm still waiting for some type of response acknowledging that the living in the now last week was a bad now for Savage and the Lions. I was right. Road golf came to play as road golf. He will get right on Monday night. I just would like to hear something from our guy where he identifies, yes, you were right. I was wrong. I apologize. Let's move forward. And then we virtual hug, we dap, right? We come up with some type of, right? And it's over. But I can't move on until until we've read that. It's fair.
It is. It is fair. It is fair. It was. I'm not going to lie. It was a bit of a jab, right? Borderline arrogant. However, just to play devil's advocate here, and I'm nor a Lions fan nor a Packers fan per se, but I thought it was a nice jab. Unfortunately, I thought it was premature. That's all. Just wait a few more weeks. Like, let's make sure you're like secure a playoff spot, maybe secure a playoff spot, and maybe the Packers don't, then drop that. Oh, then you get a little momentum there. But
And
Savage,
please do not let the Raiders beat the Lions. I will be unquietable on the Week 9 show.
the Raiders are not beating the Lions. I'm
No,
going on record right now. Yeah, I can't bet in my state, but if I could, I'm taking money to the bank for the Lions. All right, Savage, the ball is in your court, my friend. Matt has said his piece and kept it far more civil than I thought you were going to. Way to stay professional on a Sunday morning. Bob, are you ready to go, my man?
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, folks, here's what we're going to do. Matt and I are going to step away. We're going to take our Union 15 here. Bob is going to step up and, of course, give you a full rundown of the entire injury report. Now, again, before we do this, I want to make sure you pay attention here. This is not just fantasy players. This is defensive backs, offensive linemen, right? Illnesses, weather situations, any concerns Bob might have. Very, 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 very fruitful for setting your lineups here. We're going to come back in about 10 to 15 minutes with Matt and I. We're going to finish up the rest of your questions. So those of you still in the chat, we will be back to you to finish every question. We do it every week. But right now, I'm going to turn over to Bob. Full screen, buddy. Go for it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, this is key. We talk a lot about injuries, not just on the offensive side with your wide receivers and quarterbacks. We want to talk about overall, like, what's going to impact your fantasy lineups this week. Now, the New York Jets are dealing with multiple injuries up front. Randall Cobb has also been inactive today, which is interesting. Should potentially, with Mecole Hardman being traded and now Randall Cobb out, could open up more opportunities for Gibson, who's a dynasty guy, later round guy you can play there. Joe Tippmann, another offensive guard, is out. Now, Elijah Vera Tucker is also on IR. Now, the Giants are an interesting streamer defense if you have an option for them this week. I like that a lot. On the flip side, though, the Giants' offensive line is going to be banged up. Of course, no Daniel Jones. Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal are also out today, so that is big news. I think that Jets-Giants game with potential weather impacted in that game as well. We could find ourselves in a low-scoring, good defensive game. So I actually like both defenses in that matchup with Dory Jackson, one of the top cornerbacks for the Giants, back this week. Jumping down to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jacksonville Jaguars game. Now, I love the matchup for those receivers, but we are dealing with some weather in Pittsburgh. We will have more information when we get closer to the top of the hour about that. But there is Tyson Campbell, outside cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is out today. That is big news for guys like George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Unfortunately, if the weather does not cooperate, those guys might be more wide receiver threes, but I do think they're both still starts. Zay Jones is out again this week. Calvin Ridley is one of our starts of the week. We do want to monitor that Pittsburgh weather, but he's got a great matchup versus the outside corners for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Will be down Levi Wallace in that game. Jumping down to the next one, we have the Washington Commanders offensive guard. Charles is out today. The offense has already struggled mightily. Eagles are a great defense for DFS if you want to buy up their defense. That offensive line is already banged up and now losing another guard. Rob Havenstein, right tackle for the Rams, is out today. Zach Evans is also a healthy scratch, which means that Henderson and Royce Freeman will get majority of the work again. So if you need a start, Henderson is the guy we lean towards. He's a solid RB2 flex if you need it. With Havenstein out, Dallas Cowboys pass rush could be more impactful against Matthew Stafford because they needed all hands on deck. On the flip side, Tyron Smith is out for the Dallas Cowboys. Could be impactful for both those teams, but I do like those offenses if you want to start your Rams and your Cowboys. Jumping down to the Packers game, Darnell Savage is out today. That's probably better news for a guy like TJ Hawkinson, player over the middle of the field. In that game, he's the safety for the Green Bay Packers. Roger McCreary, Kevin Byard is out. Byard, of course, was traded. Shouldn't say out, but he's been traded to the Eagles. So Roger McCreary is the slot cornerback for the Titans. Kevin Byard is the safety for the Titans. That could just open things up in the middle of the field for Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts this week, as they are the tight ends that will be impacted by those guys being out. Ryan Tannehill is out today. Now, one of my favorite DFS streamers is going to be the Atlanta Falcons defense. I do like them. They played well last week against Baker Mayfield. Now they get Will Levis and Malik Willis. So I do think that's an option there. Jumping over to the middle column, we have the Patriots past the six score. By the way, all our injuries are helped by sixscore.com, Sports Injury Central. So go check them out. If you ever have questions about how healthy a player is, they give you health grades at sixscore.com. So if you were wondering how healthy Aaron Jones is, his six score is an 81. So he is going to play, but not at 100%. But the pass D is still very banged up. An average six score for a healthy defense is high 80s, low 90s. They haven't graded the Patriots secondary at 64.6. Tyreek Hill is in. Jalen Waddle and company should have a big performance. On the other side of the football, though, you're seeing injuries for the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey is back this week, but he's going to be much less than 100%, probably on a pitch count. That is big news because of Xavier Howard and Javon Holland, two of the other guys in that secondary, is out today. I really like Kendrick Bourne this week as a wide receiver 3 DFS play in that matchup with Howard out and Holland as well. Isaiah Wynn, offensive guard, is out today. That's a little ding to the pass protection for the Miami Dolphins. Look for Bill Belichick and company to try to figure out a way to get after the quarterback with that quick passing game. James Hurst, left tackle for the Saints, is out today against that Colts pass rush. But the good news is, on the flip side, that Colts pass D is a little banged up. They are missing a few key pieces. They do have an 80.96 score, which isn't terrible, but I think that is notable. Derek Carr is definitely on the streamer radar this week. On the flip side of the ball, Braden Smith and Kylan Granson are out today for the Colts. That is a slight ding for Gardner Minshew with both those weapons out, with Smith is also the right tackle for the Colts. So the Saints defense, very tough against the pass, but I like that game as a surprising offensive game in the Dome. Robert Woods is out today. That is key. Expect a little more Tank Dell and also Nico Collins. With Robert Woods out, I think that's underlying there. I think that's good news. If you need to start both those guys, you can. Of course, we lean Nico Collins in that matchup, as the Texans have a very banged up Carolina secondary that they're facing off this week, which is a 47.66 score. They are under 50%. That is huge. So attack that defense, especially CJ Stroud. If you need to play him in DFS, I think he's a rock solid start this week. On the flip side of the ball, though, we have Sheldon Rankins, the defensive tackle for the Houston Texans. That could be a slight thing to their running game, but the problem is we don't really know how good Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard, what that split's going to look like with Sanders back. Tread at your own risk. I do think that will be an interesting game, though, with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud going up against each other in their rookie seasons. Jumping down, DK Metcalf is in. Zach Charbonnet is back in. Looks like Tyler Lockett is also going to be in today as well. So at least the Seahawks passing game should be at full strength. That offense should be at full strength going up against the very tough Browns defense, who got exposed a little bit last week, but ended up being great for fantasy football. Let's jump down to the Deshaun Watson is out. It sounds like he's going to be extended injury. You got PJ Walker in that game. That could really bring down the scoring. PJ Walker's been very conservative. They have scored a lot of points, but it's been a lot of defense with the running game too. Isaiah Ford, he is a game time decision. We don't have any information on him yet, but we'll monitor the situation as Kareem Hunt would get to start in his place, and Pierre Strong would get some work as well. Deebo Samuel is out today. Good news is Brock Purdy is in. Trent Williams is still a game time decision for that 4 p.m. game. But with Deebo out, and Brock Purdy in, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle are rock solid plays. George Kittle is a great DFS option this week. Nick Bolton, stud middle linebacker for that Chiefs defense, is out today. I still like the Chiefs defense as a DFS play, but that is good news for Javonte Williams, one of my starts of the week this week. If the weather is a snowier game, that means it's going to lean the run anyway. Jumping over to the final column, we have the Ravens pass the six score, 85.6. We were highlighting this because the Ravens early on in the season were very banged up. They are getting extremely, extremely healthy. So this is no longer a great matchup for passing games. This defense is getting very healthy, and they're starting to get to full health, and they will be by the second half of the season. That could be a downgrade for guys like Marquise Brown. If you're looking at him as a wide receiver 2, probably downgrade him to a wide receiver 3. In this matchup, On the flip side, same thing for the Cardinals pass D. They are getting healthier on that side of the football as well. Their six score has gone up this week, but I'm still rolling Lamar Jackson. I think he is a fantastic play. I got him in my DFS lineup this week. Zay Flowers, and I like Odell Beckham as a DFS star throw, wide receiver 3 if you need a play this week. The Cardinals will be down Elijah Wilkinson, one of their better offensive linemen. That's big news against that Ravens D. I love the Ravens defense if you can get them in their DFS lineup. Chicago Bears, Nate Davis out. Justin Fields out. I still like Tyler Batson as a potential QB streamer / DFS star throw this week against that Chargers team. That could be a fun game in LA in that matchup. Roshan Johnson in, Eddie Jackson in. That's good news for that Bears defense for Eddie Jackson being back. Terrell Smith, though, their cornerback is out. So I think Justin Herbert's got to get it done this week. I really like Josh Palmer as a wide receiver 2 in this matchup. Keenan Allen, of course, is an absolute stud every single week. Jumping down to our final game, the Monday night game, we have some notable injuries coming in and out. Jimmy Garoppolo is back. Nate Hobbs is one of the best defensive backs for the Raiders. He should be back this week. That is notable going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown since he plays in the slot. Same thing goes with Bennett. Another outside cornerback should be back this week. So the Raiders secondary is getting healthy in this matchup. David Montgomery, of course, ruled out. Gibbs obviously looked well last week. He's a rock solid, probably borderline RB1 in this matchup against that Raiders run defense that has not been good. However, they will be down 2 starting offensive linemen in the interior for that Lions run offense. So that is key. It's something to keep an eye on for Jared Goff and company, but it's home Goff. I don't think you overthink it. You roll with your Lions. And finally, we just broke down earlier, that Lions pass D is getting a little bit healthier as they rose to 79.5. But honestly, Jimmy Garoppolo in a dome, you probably could do worse for a safe super flex 2 QB option in that game. All right, we're going to be rolling back soon, coming back in here. Now, Matt, have you seen any? Have you been monitoring any of the weather stuff? Have you been looking at anything over the last few hours?
Yeah, there's some stuff going on. The issue is that, as we mentioned earlier, we don't really have boots on the ground. The real issue, the one that we're looking at closely, is the Denver game that Savage mentioned with his issue with starting Butker or going after Groupie, and I think we agreed that Groupie was the better move for him. The worst part about that is that's the afternoon game. So decisions on players need to be made now if they're going to start somebody that's in an early game. Jags at Steelers, 80% chance of rain in Pittsburgh. Temperature's fine, wind is fine. So if you're okay with rain and on that grass field, then I think you're okay with your Jags and Steelers. I don't know what that means for Trevor Lawrence, but he hasn't been pushing the ball down the field a ton. But I think they'll be all right. Jets, Giants, Bob, you mentioned this earlier. Also above an 80% chance of rain. Wind and temperature is fine. It looks more like rain showers in the morning, steady rain in the afternoon in East Rutherford. So, again, I think that's more of a running back game that we've talked about. The Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, they're probably the better bets than the quarterbacks or the receivers. Patriots at Dolphins, there's some humidity. Wind is a little bit at 15, 11% chance of rain. I wouldn't let that stop me from starting any of my Dolphins or Patriots in catch-up mode. Vikings, Packers, 9% chance of rain, 41 degrees. Doesn't look like there's any other real issues there. So start your Vikings and Packers as you normally would. I'm looking at a video of the stands in Denver. There is snow on the field. They'll have that cleared out. The issue is we don't know how much is going to fall during the game, which means how much is not going to be cleared out.
I got boots on the ground in Denver. So I talked to somebody, and they said that the Broncos, the snow's done. It's already happened. So it might be a slower paced game because of it, but the snow is done, though. Like, it's already happened. So maybe we don't fade it as much as we thought we had to. That's the takeaway I got from that.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm slightly more concerned with Mahomes showing up on the injury report with the flu. For those of us that are, above about 4 years old, we know what the flu can do to you. And not every flu game is going to be the Michael Jordan flu game for those of us that are old enough to recognize that, right? They're going to have to load him up with fluids. And I don't think the Chiefs need to win this football game, but Mahomes is also undefeated against the Broncos in his career, which is a staggering statistic, but it is what it is. I still probably run Pacheco out there with a lot
Yeah,
of.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know that if you were going to start Javonte or you were going to start Pacheco or Mahomes or Russell Wilson, I think you continue to do that. So I would not change lineups for those guys. I would watch the info on Mahomes all the way up until game time, especially if you have another afternoon quarterback you can get in for him.
Is he? Oh, so they're the 4 o'clock game.
Yeah, 4:25. They're the latest 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I think
So
by
you
then
would
you're
have to have
probably
somebody
good.
in the afternoon window that you could
I'm
swap
not.
in for him.
No shit. I don't. Yeah, you're right. If he is ruled out for whatever reason, I don't think he will be though. I'm not stressed about it. I think the games that actually now it sounds like to me. So there sounds like between like 1 o'clock to about 2:30, the Pittsburgh game and the Giants game is going to have some rain, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be that bad. It looks like
Yep.
they're going to clear up by halfway through the game. It's a tiebreaker. Those are tiebreaker games. I love Pickens. I like Deontay. I like Christian Kirk. I like Ridley. I like all those guys. I'm probably going to play those guys still unless I have another option in a different game, like a Nico Collins type. Then I'll go Nico. But I am not going to fade those 4 receivers for a worse matchup because of the weather. The Giants game's a little different. I do believe that game's going to be more defensive oriented, especially because of how the teams are playing right now. So maybe I would pivot from a Garrett Wilson to go to another guy. But overall, I think the weather is not as bad. I think, especially that Denver game, it sounds like we might be in good spot there. All right,
Yep.
let's get up. We were at Savage. Or here we go. All right, this guy's just messing everything up now. We're all just all over the place. Okay, there we go. Welcome back. All right, Sky, I'll give you 1 second. I'm going to read this question. I'll kick it back over to you. We have a QB streamer question here, folks. We have Sam Howell, Derek Carr, or Tyrod Taylor. I love it. Just thank you, William Jones, for right to the heart. Appreciate the Tyrod Taylor call out. Matt, what's your thoughts?
The guy I want to play, if it wasn't for the weather, it's probably Tyrod Taylor. But I'm going to lean Derek Carr inside, the only guy that can throw for 360 yards and not somehow make the top 12. I don't know. Derek Carr throws all over the place. I think they've thrown 50 times in the last 2 of the last 3 games or something like that. So I probably lean Carr in this based on Tyrod being outdoors with some weather and against the Jets D. So I lean Carr.
Yeah. Same here, lean Derek Carr, and then I'm going to throw it to Sky, and Sky, you're going to take over.
All right.
I'm going
to go Sammy Howell here, actually. Home versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, they're incredibly stout against the run. Brian Robinson, I think, gets shut down. Chris Rodriguez, Antonio Gibson, whatever. I'm just not into commander running backs today. But that secondary has been getting healthier, but they're still not 100%. And in Philadelphia, week 4, 290 yards, 6 rushing attempts, 40 yards, a touchdown, and he was QB 13 on the week. At home, already had the matchup. I like it. He might sneak into the top 12, and he's way out of that. I don't see Derek Carr doing it this week. Michael Thomas, I mentioned earlier, was on the injury report. He is playing today. But I'm going to go Sammy Howell, but it looks like I'm outvoted, so look, Derek Carr is 2-1, but I want to give a shout-out to Sam Howell there. And that question, Matt, I believe was from William Jones. Billiam done.
So he's choosing Billiam. I'm in. I'm in with Billiam. Yep, Billiam it is.
Okay, so Matt, let's give it a hold on. Let me just refresh real quick. Matt, this next question's coming in from Billiam Jones. Who's
that? Billiam Jones.
All right, I love that.
Bob,
and out of good sportsmanship.
Can we get one raise the roof by the end of the show, Bob? We're going to get one. Sky, you and I, we're not going to ask for it. It's going to be organic, but we're going to say something where Bob does, oh, yeah, woo, woo. It's going to happen today. We're going to get something. Yeah.
I would imagine it's the next kicker question probably. So don't want to spend too much time on this. We got to rattle off here in the next 20 minutes before kickoff. But out of good sportsmanship, Beach had a minute during the break to gather his thoughts, come back a little bit. Just want to read this off for the people here. Beach, in response to Matt calling him out for last week's comments for the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers, quote,
That's not Beach. Is that Beach? Does Beach have
I'm
a
sorry,
burner?
Salvage, my bad. Salvage. We both lost last week. I'm just not used to it, unlike you this year.
Wow.
Continues, quote. Continues. There will be no fluidity between Packers fans and Lions fans.
So what I'm hearing is
with it's all good fun, no hard feelings. Quick response, and we'll move on.
Yeah, I think he's right. We'll hug it out, we'll dap, and I just leave him with this. His next comment, if he would do me the solid of leaving the number of championships the Lions have, then we'll move on from there.
Okay.
Because I'll type ours in right now. It's 1-3, so that is now documented.
Love it, man. Lions Packers banter here on the program. I love that.
No, there is none. They are the better team. They will probably they appear to be built for the playoffs. They are good on offense. They are pretty stout on defense. So I wish them the best because they're not the Bears. We don't hate the Lions. We don't hate the Vikings. We don't have a need to. We hate the Bears.
And you know what? I bet Salvage, if we can give him a mic. And here's what I want to be careful with. It's really easy to jump on somebody, right? But if they can't defend themselves in live with a mic and just have to type out, that's not necessarily fair, right? It's kind of a one-sided fight. So I want to make sure we're careful with that. And also, I think both of you probably would have the same disdain for Chicago. So let's maybe point our energy that way.
And really, it's always going to be a one-way fight.
Oh, nice.
Salvage,
love you, brother. I'm going to lose. Awesome. All right, let's move on here. Dylan coming in here. We got to pick one. We got to flex full PPR Hollywood versus Baltimore in a revenge game. Mixon versus San Francisco in a going to get dominated game. Downs versus New Orleans. He probably just played well in that one. Hunt versus Seattle and Michael Thomas at Indy. Bob?
I'm going to go Downs here. Full PPR helps. Mixon might be okay this week. I'm not worried about Mixon too much. I'm going to go Downs.
Right now, Mixon feels like a rich man's Josh Jacobs.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah. As I stated earlier, right, the flu is running through the New Orleans locker room, so I'm going to go Downs versus the sickness.
I'm gonna go Downs. Okay, Bob. I know you're almost protesting the raise the roof. That was a layup. I'm just gonna say that was an absolute layup. Raise the roof opportunity. You tell us when you want to get down. But my goodness,
ounce of my body wanted to raise the roof there. I just want to let you know there was not even a shoulder increase at all. I had nothing. I'm sorry, guys. It's NFL Week 8, and I'm sitting. I'm
gonna text Gray and make sure that he's seeing all this. This is ridiculous.
Downs against the sickness.
I get it.
And literally, you just said the Saints are depleted. And I mean, that was Matt.
I laughed. I gave you the left. I gave you a laugh.
Our viewers are at home, literally just like, Bob, what do you do? I mean, the energy is just cranked up now. All right, Dylan has a second one here. Uglier question. All right, let's hone in. Got to start one full PPR. We got Rashawn Ford, if he plays, Singletary, and DeMarcado. Okay, so we're streaming lots of handcuff options here. So this is a deeper running back here. Full PPR. Rashawn Ford should be playing, correct?
He's trending towards playing, but he's still questionable. Ford is trending, but again, that's Seattle. You don't run against Seattle.
Good call. Matt, go ahead and just take this one first.
Roshan against the Chargers is intriguing, but again, one hit to the head, right? Could he be right back in concussion protocol? I'd prefer to see a week out of him. Singletary, interestingly enough, the week before the bye, he had significantly more targets and only one fewer carry than Dameon Pierce, and Singletary was more effective when he was rushing. I think, though, in a full PPR, DeMarcado is the guy for me. because they're going to be trailing the entire time. He is the clear number one right now, and he can catch the football. So I will go with DeMercado.
Yeah, he was like a workhorse last week too. Like, just the Cardinals are just so confusing. I actually do like Singletary's matchup against the Carolina Panthers. I do favor Pierce a little bit in that regard. But I think I'm actually gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Wait, did this change? Why is this on that?
It did.
I got so
I
confused.
didn't touch it.
My fault if I hit it. Yeah, I'm gonna go DeMercado. I think that there's just gonna be a bunch of touches for him against Baltimore, and he's probably the only guy that's gonna get majority of the work. So I'm gonna go DeMercado.
Quick quiz.
Man,
over under the amount of times that Dameon Pierce has rushed for over 50 yards this season. Over under is 3.
Under.
rush for over 50. Yeah, I'm going to say it's 2.5.
Done it twice. He has
Yeah.
4 games where he hasn't broken 35.
Yikes. Man, he might be a running back bust when we get to the end of the year recap, because the passing game in Houston's been so good. All right. I'm actually surprised both of you guys went with DeMercado. I'm going to agree with you, but I was kind of like expecting to be the odd man out here. So I feel good about that. It is a 3-bar. I think that's our second one of the day. Oddly enough, okay, 3 weeks ago, he goes against Cincinnati, gets an opportunity. James Conner's hurt, 10 carries, 45 yards, scores. People blow all their fab, go pick him up, comes back against the Rams, and we get absolutely skunked. 2 carries, 11 yards, reception for 6 yards, 3 fantasy points. Bummer. Comes back next week. Nobody starts him because we're upset and we all take this too personal. 13 carries, 58 yards, 5 catches, 17 yards, 12 PPR fantasy points. He's a high-end RB2. This week against Baltimore sounds a lot more scary than it actually is on the ground. Their secondary is improving, as Bob's been mentioning the last couple of weeks. Bob also wrote, and Matt and I covered it with Derek on Tuesday, Bob's key takeaway in that game was that the secondary was getting healthy and improving, and they absolutely are. So I think you can run the ball on the Ravens here, and I do think DeMercado is the choice there as well. Great job, guys. All right, Micah, now we'll get to you. Sorry about that, bud. We jumped the gun a little bit. All right, Micah, we got half PPR here. Najee Harris, Darrell Henderson, A.J. Dillon, Jerome Ford, and Devin Singletary. Bob?
Henderson for me.
Henderson for me.
Oof. Are we okay? We just talked about. I just want to divert for a second. We just talked about Pierce. We never talk about Devin Singletary. Like, why not?
Waste of time. If you've ever rostered Devin Singletary, you know it's a waste of time to ever talk about him. If you've ever rostered Devin Singletary and you've started him, you know what it feels like to start Devin Singletary, and it's disgusting. It's akin to, not that I know this, but it's akin to what I believe would be like kissing your cousin.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're still kissing somebody, but it's just kind of weird. Just doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel good.
It just seems so. The matchup's good against Carolina, which is great.
It is.
It just seems like so. This season, the way it's worked is when the Texans are in a good game script, they then lean to Pierce and they'll give him the 20 carries. It doesn't look pretty. But in a normal game script, it's been like 12-12, 14-12. And so, like, you kind of know that even if he has a good rushing game, he gets you 5 yards per carry, you're probably going to have like 60 yards. And he's not involved in the passing game as much. So I just want to look this up because I wanted to see the red zone carry. So it's 17-10 in the red zone.
Yeah.
Inside the 5, it's 6-0. So Pierce is the goal line
Pierce.
guy. So it just seems
he's 100
like
pounds heavier. That makes sense.
It just seems like you're going to get a lot of empty calories, touches from Singletary. I think if you were in desperation mode, if you didn't have Henderson or Harris, and let's say it was Dillon, Ford, and Singletary, I would take Singletary over AJ Dillon and Ford. Ford's injury, he's actually like 30%. But if you're giving me Darrell Henderson, who's with the Rams, by the way, he's going to get the same amount of touches, but on a better offense, I'll take Henderson there. Harris is just whatever.
All right. Fair enough. I appreciate that. I just wanted to bring it up a little bit here. I'm going to go Henderson.
All right,
Also,
Sky, we got about 20 minutes.
You got it. Let's cook. Micah's up here again. Pick 2 wide receivers, half PPR. Wilson, Brown, Cooper, Lockett, Rashee Rice. Bob?
Start going to Matt first.
Okay.
Matt? I don't like Garrett Wilson in the weather, and I don't like Zach Wilson, so I'm going to probably stay away from him. I like Marquise Brown, but as Bob stated, the Baltimore defensive backs are getting better. I like Cooper and Lockett in a head-to-head matchup in Seattle, but I don't like the fact that Cooper has a backup quarterback. And I like Rashee Rice. I don't like the weather. However, we just kind of figured out that what Bob said while you were still out, Sky, the snow is on the ground and it's done. So they're going to clean the field. It's going to be cold. So half-point PPR with what we assume to be a relatively clean field. I like Rashee Rice, and I like Tyler Lockett slightly over Cooper, mainly because Geno is the starter and Amari Cooper does not have a true quarterback one. So begrudgingly, Tyler Lockett and for sure Rashee Rice.
This is tough, man.
There's better names on the list. I don't know if there's better names for week 8 on the list.
Yeah, fair.
I'm probably going to go Rice and Wilson.
Yeah, I'm going to go Rice and Wilson as well. Daniel, DST question. Jets versus the Giants. Bob's been repping that game all morning here. KC versus Denver in the snow. No Nick Bolton, too.
Oh, nice ad, Daniel. A little bit of info for us.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
Defenses.
I like them both, too. The Tyrod Taylor's a backup quarterback, but he's not really a backup quarterback, right? He's a guy that could play for 32 teams if need be. Russell Wilson loves to turn the ball over. It's going to be cold and wet. He's got small hands. Smells like cabbage.
I just imagine Russell Wilson like trying to hold the burger with the tiny hands.
See his fingers?
Oh God, the small hands thing is so weird. Like, God damn it!
Well, now they're doing it with goldfish too, like the goldfish court with Boban. You ever see
he
those?
puts his hand in the
they're
bag.
huge. Yeah.
I think I'm going to take the Kansas City defense.
Yeah, same.
But I don't think you can go wrong with whoever you pick. One of them's going to score a touchdown. The other one's not. You're going to be mad if you didn't pick the one that scores a touchdown. But there's not a wrong decision here.
Yep. 2 shouts out here. Shouts out to our boy Jefferson. A lot of great articles as well on football.razzball.com. And I gave a shout out to Beans earlier, one of our great consistent participants in a lot of our articles. And Jefferson also is given a shout out. Hiram's got a number of questions here. We got to start 2. PPR, Deontay Johnson, Sutton, or Jordan Palmer. They play Sunday night. Jordan Palmer is a game time decision.
Josh Palmer.
Who's Jordan Palmer?
The QB guru guy
It's Carson Palmer's brother.
Yeah, that is the O is really close to the P on the keyboard.
Nice. Good. Okay, so Joshua Palmer, who actually would play today, or tonight rather, is a game time decision. Deontay Johnson, Sutton, Palmer, pick 2 PPR.
I'm sitting Sutton.
Same.
So you guys are good to just rock with it, because if you do that, then you're 100% guaranteeing that. Well, you're not guaranteeing because you can't, but you're assuming that Palmer's going to play. If he doesn't, you're going to move him down and go for a Quentin Johnston maybe.
Never Johnston.
Okay, but you'd have to play somebody if he was out. That's my only concern.
Josh Palmer. There's more optimism that Palmer can play than Everett, who's also a game time decision.
Yeah, based on 6 score like that. Hiram, I'm going to knock out a couple of your questions, buddy. Oh, you just went in here. Looks like we got a couple more names to this, guys. So same question. Add Tyler Boyd and Osborne if it changes anything.
Osborne is the late game, so I would play him. If Palmer sits, I'm still starting Deontay Johnson.
I'm playing.
Nope, I'm wrong. Green Bay is the morning game. They're the early games. So sorry about that.
I'm staying
Okay.
with my same answer.
All right,
my.
you got it. All right, Joe, I know we've had a lot of silly banter. We're going to crush through the rest of these questions here. Hang tight with us. Here we go. Lindorphins. What's up, fellas? Good morning. All right, we got a couple start sits. So we got Ridley, Nico, half PPR. Let's do that one first. Ridley or Nico, half PPR, Matt?
Nico for the yards after catch.
I as well. I'm going to go Nico. Beat up secondary,
Nico.
as Bob said. All right. And then DST question here. Philadelphia versus Washington, Jets and Giants. This one's come up a lot. They're two of my top defenses. I'm going to go Philly, though.
Philly as well.
Oh, Philly all day.
Philly all day. All right. Andrews has Hawkins. Oh, that's back to our earlier question. Thank you for tuning in on that. Half PPR from Micah. Appreciate it. Billiam is back. Who's this?
William Jones.
That's correct. If Musgrave is out, is the pivot option McBride or Taysom Hill? I want to make sure Taysom Hill's playing. Matt?
He is no longer on the injury report. Juwan Johnson is back. So
Okay.
his perceived scoring is low, or his estimated scoring is low. So it got cut in half from about 8 to 4. So I'm actually going to ask the same question later. Logan Thomas or Taysom Hill for me. So I will bow out of this one. Let you two discuss.
It's a tough one. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I don't think. Go ahead, Scott.
I have Taysom Hill. I know it's boom or bust, but his boom is top 3. So if he's playing, I'm starting him.
Yeah, I would probably go McBride. I actually would have neither of these guys in my lineup. McBride against Baltimore is a tough matchup right now, and then Taysom Hill wins that Juwan Johnson role. Juwan Johnson's back, so he's not going to be getting pass catching duties like he did previously. So, if I had to choose between the two, I will go Taysom Hill.
And would you start Logan Thomas over Hill against
Logan
Philly?
Thomas, yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would. Just because we know that he's the main guy there. This is from earlier.
In theory, Washington should be trailing against Philly, right? Therefore,
Yes.
they should be throwing underneath stuff to try to catch up.
They should. It's just weird that Logan Thomas is also like boom or bust somehow. But Beach is coming back. Forgot to start. We talked about Jameson earlier. Topher coming in here. Hey guys, Musgrave or Taysom Hill? We literally just talked about it. If Musgrave plays, you guys starting him?
Over Taysom, I am.
Sure. Yeah.
And is that Lobster?
Active.
Man? LOBSTAH?
Yeah.
Lobster.
Yeah, Topher Lobster man.
Yeah.
Rock Lobster. All right. Tyler Lowe wants to know Kareem Hunt or Amari Cooper. We got 2 Browns in the flex position here. Tyler, did you give us? You didn't, and I'm sorry if I don't remember previous questions. We're going to go half PPR here, boys.
I don't like either one of them.
Me neither.
If Ford sits, you start Hunt. If Ford plays, you start Cooper.
Those words.
It's a later game too. So this is in the afternoon. So you got a little time to see how your day develops. But I agree with that as well. I also have Lamb and McLaurin at receiver. Need a tight end to pick up. Logan Thomas or Ferguson. Ferguson for me.
I think I'm going to lean Ferguson as well. That could be a 45-42 football game in Dallas, the Dallas game.
I agree.
I like it. Ferguson.
Okay. All right. Mike is back here. Brock Purdy. Shake off that concussion.
Purdy for
Sammy
me.
Howell.
Purdy. Isn't she Purdy?
Purdy.
Isn't she Purdy? Sorry, my voice is shot. Purdy as well. Dennis, half PPR. Start 3, boys. We got a lot of names here. Start 3. Bijan, Nico, Devonta Smith, Olave, and Tank Dell. Leaning Bijan and Collins. Torn between Olave and Smith. Help me. Start 3, half PPR, Matt.
Bijan is the obvious choice, but Arthur Smith is a moron.
Is he?
Yeah. Nico, I love, and the matchup I love. I said it last week. It's a Devonta Smith week. It wasn't, so I will. I love to get. to get him in there this week, but it might be Olave. But again, I don't know the sickness that's going through the New Orleans locker room. For me, Bijan is a must. Nico is probably the third best receiver on this list behind Olave and Devonta Smith, but I'm going to start Nico, and then I lean Olave. No, it's half PPR. Give me Devonta Smith. Smith, Nico, Bijan. That's it.
Same.
Damn it. Sorry.
These have been rough today.
They're great though. These are really competitive questions. It's been good.
I'm gonna go Smith as well.
A lot of times when we do this, just letting everyone know, a lot of times when they do this, we just have names like are automatic based on our rankings. I've had to scour my rankings almost every single question because like guys are literally within like a 3-5 ranking chunk. I appreciate that. Scott Eminger. Bob, how about this one? Go ahead.
Eminger.
Scotty's coming in, fantasy focused, back in the day. Long time. So shouts out to our boy Scott. Appreciate you jumping back in, man. Great to hear from you and see the name back in the chat. Hey guys, half PPR, Javonte, which I know Matt is stoked here. Javonte and Roshan Johnson at running back. What do you think?
I love both players. I've been waiting for Roshan to come back, but I'm going Javonte today.
Same, Javonte.
Yep, likewise. Matt, sorry, did you have a comment? I cut you off.
No, sir.
All right. AJ, we got to add DST. So we got Atlanta, Miami, New York, and Houston. Currently have Pittsburgh versus Jacksonville, but I figure one of those might be better here. So do we keep Pittsburgh versus Jacksonville, or do we go pick up one of these other teams?
Atlanta.
Same.
Falcons.
All right. 3-bar. Love it. Good morning. One of Nico, Metcalf, and Downs as a flex half PPR, leaning Nico. Matt?
I lean Nico because I have PPR. If it's full PPR, I go Downs.
Likewise.
I like Nico.
Okay. I hope DK has a big game, but he hasn't yet, and I'm going to wait until we see that. Cooper versus Seattle, Deontay versus Jacksonville.
Deontay, not even close.
Deontay for me as well.
Likewise. Bunch of 3-bars. We're on a roll here. Got another one for y'all. Deep, full PPR. Got to start one. Hunt, Foreman, Dillon.
Foreman.
So I have to actually look up. Foreman. It's fine.
Yeah.
Does that change
Those are all
if
tough,
Ford is out?
Yes, but you're not going to have time, right? I mean, like.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me check when the Bears play.
It's got to be the early window.
Bears play the Bears play tonight. They play the Chargers.
That's right.
Oh, all right.
So then AJ Dillon, you guys have the morning game? Yeah, you do. So it's AJ Dillon right now or Hunt or Foreman.
I think if Ford sits, I might put Hunt in there at for the 4:00 game over Foreman.
Okay.
I think I'm still going to go Foreman. I was just curious.
All right. A couple more here, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you need to take off from us, games are about to start in about 10 minutes. We're going to rifle the rest of these. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Come back with us Tuesday night. It is Halloween proper. A lot of you going to be out trick-or-treating, whatever. A lot of us have kids and whatever. Be safe out there. Have fun. We will be here with you to hang out and do the quad box. So come back with us Tuesday night for the weekend recap. If we missing you, take off for now. Enjoy your football. A couple more questions here. Good morning. Rice, Dell, Higgins, non-PPR. Matt?
Well, that means you got to get in the end zone and you got to get yards, right?
Yep.
Then it's Rashee Rice for me.
T. Higgins.
Oh, shit. I want to go Tank Dell. Let's get Higgins back, man. Against the Niners, though, you know what? The Niners are going to have to bracket chase. They have to. And I know everyone tries to do that. I think Higgins comes back here before he gets traded. So I like T. Higgy. Mike Florio, finally back. Love to see that. I was waiting for you all morning here. Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, PPR. Matt?
Dak
Prescott.
Dak Prescott as well. Mike is back with another one, half PPR. Najee, Dillon, Cooper, Lockett, Ford, Brown, Singletary, Tajay here. Did we do this one already? If not, let's just go through it quick. I can't remember. Looks
Pick
familiar.
two. Give me Tyler Lockett and Amari Cooper.
It's half. I'll go Najee. Man, and Lockett.
Yeah, I was thinking Hollywood Brown, but the Ravens are too good in a revenge game, by the way. But I agree with you guys here. Matt S. Good morning. We got two questions. Half PPR, better flex upside bet for the day. Amari Cooper, Chuba Hubbard. Matt.
Chuba at best is going to split carries with Sanders. I don't love their matchup, but I don't love the quarterback for Cooper. He's saying flex upside. The upside is Amari Cooper.
Absolutely, I agree. And
Fun.
then Bob, sorry, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah,
and then
good.
the second question here: must drop one of Chubb. Can't if I start him,
Chuba.
obviously. Sorry, Chuba, Roshan, Tajay, Love, or Watson in a super flex league. Super flex league has to drop one. Rostering Burrow and Lawrence already. Puka, Diggs, Barkley. That's the rest of his roster there. So who are you guys dropping?
If that's Deshaun Watson, I'm okay releasing him. If it's Christian Watson, I'm probably holding him and dropping Chuba.
I'm dropping Love either way. Burrow and Lawrence, you're not. I mean, I guess in super flex you need somebody to play, but I'm just not impressed with Love. Huge first quarter, hasn't been doing well the second quarter, so I'm gonna drop Love.
Currently, Green Bay is averaging under 20 points per game.
Yeah. He was QB4 through the first 4 weeks. In my Trade 4 article, I've since burned that article. Billiam Jones is back. Matt, who is this?
Billiam Jones.
Yeah, that's correct. Full PPR, Olave and Deontay Johnson. Like this one.
Deontay.
Ooh, that was quick. Let me just double check here. I know they're close. I actually lean Olave. I like this matchup there, Olave. Okay, a couple more questions here. One more from
Billiam Jones.
Are we still Henderson over Rice in PPR? Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Enough. I'll take it if we end up getting out of here. If we get out of here with that, I'm going to take it. But Bob, I got to say, pretty sorry.
Close.
Not going to lie.
That was the dry hump. Raise the roof.
Nothing better than a good dry hump to start the day. You know what I mean?
Thank God this isn't a kid's show. Henderson over Rice still in PPR?
I think so.
I'm going to say
volume.
Yes as well. I just want those touches.
Volume.
Yep, same. Baba?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, great. And Ryan, I'm sorry I didn't catch this in time, but had Stroud as hand. We like the Stroud matchup there. Couple more questions, guys. We're going to get out of here. Any last minutes? Feel free to drop them in quickly. Matt S. was also thinking Chuba or Love. Yep, correct. So I'm going to go with Love since Chuba could steal a time eventually. You're right. And Sanders hasn't been effective and he's been injured. I would hang on to Chuba personally. Running backs are tough to gather. Mike is back here. Best TST to play? Cleveland. Giants or the Lions?
The best defense on that list is clearly
Jets.
Cleveland Browns is the best defense there.
I'm going to go Jets myself.
I'm going to go Jets as well. They are the best defense, but I like the matchup a lot better. I think Seattle at home could do quite well potentially here. Daniel's back. Would you rather stash Mims with Brandon Johnson? So that's like the wide receiver 4 for the Broncos on IR, or Quentin Johnson with Palmer and Everett potentially not playing tonight. So would you rather stash Mims or with IR or go with Quentin Johnson, pick him up just in case? I'm going to go Quentin Johnson because I like that offense a lot better.
Same.
First round pick.
Yeah, that's fine.
We love to end with the enthusiasm, folks. Matt, thank you. Everybody, we appreciate you. If you're not in the next 30 seconds, we are going to sign off. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us for another incredible Sunday morning. We so much appreciate these shows. We're going to, again, be back with you On Tuesday evening, it is Halloween proper. Y'all have things to do. Totally awesome. We are going to archive this show on the Razzball YouTube channel, which all of you already are subscribed to, I'm sure. But just in case, if you're not, make sure to hit that bell and subscribe for us. Also, make sure to download the podcast anywhere you listen to the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast and podcast in general. You can download that for free. Give us a rating 1 through 5. We'd much appreciate it. Give us your honest feedback. Also, Daniel wants to come in. Y'all the best show. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you and all of your participation as well. Always.
I'll raise the roofs to that. I'll raise
There we go.
Yeah.
Daniel coming in hot with the raise the roof.
That.
Daniel.
Woo! No more
Daniel, way to make it happen. Way to make it happen, Daniel. Great job, buddy.
Like
Enjoy
that.
your football. We got all of our articles for free on football.razzball.com. Check it out. Quad Box coming back with you Tuesday evening. We'll be live at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Drake coming in at the final hour here. Need 2 full PPR. DK, Flowers, Pickens. This is a big
Flowers, one. Pickens. Picking the flowers.
Same thing.
Picking the flowers myself. Bob, run us out, brother.
Yeah, one question though for you guys. Would you rather start Roshan or Tank Dell this week if you already have Nico in your lineup?
Roshan.
Oh, Roshan.
Roshan it is. All right, folks, that's all we got today. Once again, this is the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. Please make sure you go follow us across the board, subscribe, like every video. Join us every day during the week for all our episodes. Dynasty Diehards. We have our Slot First Wide. We have our takeaways, recap, and impact every Tuesday as well. Make sure you jump over to IG and TikTok and jump on the podcast side as well. We thank you for joining us once again, folks. We are out of here.
Go Ducks.